On an unbearably difficult day, Travis Wesley encountered the worst scenario imaginable. His wife of 23 years informed him she would be going out with other men, beginning that very evening. Seated motionless at the kitchen table, Travis tightly held a glass of monkey shoulder scotch for a full 10 minutes without taking a single sip. He merely sat there, eyes vacant, oblivious to his surroundings, yet vividly feeling a deep, sharp pain within him. Travis recognized that no Alka-Seltzer could alleviate the discomfort tearing at his abdomen. These were stories of wives mentioning spending time with other men he'd previously dismissed as urban myths. How could a spouse presume their loyal partner would tolerate dating someone else? He struggled to comprehend such coldness and self-centered desires from his own wife. Ironically, this revelation took place on a typically pleasant day at Travis's workplace. Around 5, he returned home jovial, whistling as he stepped inside. Still buoyant, he found his wife sitting at the kitchen table, savoring a glass of red wine and a pour of her favorite whiskey. Taking his customary seat, he deposited his briefcase, poured himself a drink, and settled down. "What's been on your mind, Lauren?" Travis asked, picking up on her smug expression. She looked him directly in the eye, her grin carrying a hint of mischief. The look in her eyes was not encouraging. He shifted uneasily in his chair. "Think I've been a good wife and mother all these years, Trav?" she inquired calmly. Travis creased his brow. Aware of his contemplative character, he could almost see the wheels turning before he responded, "Yes, I suppose so." "And do you think I deserve some form of acknowledgement for it?" She posed the question again with the same unruffled demeanor. Travis took a moment to consider her words thoughtfully. "Are you implying a reward for fulfilling my duties as a husband and father is due? It's odd that you'd pose this question, Lauren." He retorted sharply. "However, today, I wish to go on a date with another man," she said calmly, as tranquil as a still morning lake. This revelation left Travis feeling queasy, the bitter taste of bile rising in his throat. His mind was blank, like an erased chalkboard, struggling to comprehend her suggestion to go on a date with someone else. Lauren looked at him with an expression that made him feel childish, and she nodded slowly. "Indeed, another man, Travis. It's been 24 years since you and I became exclusive, and I haven't dated anyone else since then. I've been a faithful wife and dedicated mother to our children, and I think I deserve an evening out with someone else. A chance to explore something new, not love, but pleasure. Merely making love," she clarified. "At 47, I recognize my attractiveness isn't eternal. I wish to pursue other avenues while I remain alluring and able to do so." Travis stared in shock. He was certain he had heard me right, but this could not be serious, could it? Lauren merely nodded, as if she understood his thoughts. "Oh dear," Travis mumbled, watching her leave the table to change. Minutes later, Lauren returned looking sensational in a black dress that accentuated her silhouette. The daringly cut-out design exposed part of her chest without a bra, and it barely skimmed mid-thigh. Her makeup was minimal, befitting a stunning woman, and her long blonde hair was tied high. It was a spectacle. Lauren seemed aware that at that moment she had ensnared her husband completely. "I won't tolerate this, Lauren," Travis declared, rising from his seat. "You haven't revealed your intentions or thoughts to me, but you can't proceed with this while we're still married," Travis replied sternly. Lauren's radiant smile transformed into a sour sneer. "You won't ruin my night, dear. You may bluff bravely, but in reality, you know you won't divorce me over this. Where else would you find someone like me? It's clear to you, and the kids will be enraged by your decision to shatter our family. Be strong, Travis. Allow me some time to enjoy myself, and then we'll return to just us, aging together. You love me, don't you, Travis? You wouldn't want to be alone while I have numerous choices." A car horn echoed outside. Taking a small bag, Lauren advanced towards Travis, attempting a farewell kiss. He flinched as if hit by an electric current, moving away. Lauren looked momentarily bewildered and saddened, but her face soon hardened with anger. "I'll return possibly," she said as she left, and he watched in shock as she departed through the door. Was there a possibility that his 23-year marriage might be coming to an end? It certainly appeared so, he contemplated. Lauren didn't even look back at him as she left. A somber but inescapable fact, as established by researchers, is that individuals who are attractive often have an advantage in life over their less good-looking counterparts. They find it easier to form friendships, garner more attention, and even receive favorable grades from teachers. For Lauren, this was especially true once she reached the age of 13 and her physical attributes fully developed. She discovered that a batting of her eyelashes and a smile could sway almost any boy she fancied. Boys who were harder to win over only needed a slight exaggeration of her physical traits to be won over. Travis, much like every other boy Lauren encountered, succumbed to her charm the moment they met, even before his family moved to the city and he began 8th grade. Meeting Lauren on his first day at school, he was instantly smitten. Travis, an acclaimed athlete well liked by his peers, mustered the nerve to ask out Lauren for a date during high school, which she agreed to. They started dating and maintained their relationship until the early days of their junior year at the local high school. It was then that Lauren ended their relationship to pursue Landon S. Jr., a prominent player on the school's football team. At that juncture, Travis measured 5 feet 4 inches tall and weighed 110 pounds, while Est stood at 6 feet 2 inches and weighed 190 pounds. Despite being hurt, Travis comprehended the circumstances. He recognized that Lauren was more aesthetically appealing compared to most of the boys at school. Since Lauren dated a football player, she socialized with the popular crowd at school, whereas Travis remained an unidentified figure in the corridors. During his school years, Travis didn't engage with Lauren and only interacted with a select few students. Whenever they encountered each other, she acted as if he were a stranger, which initially angered him, but eventually he accepted it. By his senior year, Travis had grown 2 inches taller and gained 40 pounds, making him an attractive and athletic young man, though not quite on par with Lauren. Many found her hard to match. He attended the prom with his average-looking girlfriend. That night, they both lost their virginity to each other. Prior to this, Lauren was not a virgin. She often manipulated situations for her benefit, and sex was part of any relationship she entered into with a lucky man who dated her. Following high school, Travis studied accounting at Michigan State University. Over 4 years, he courted multiple women without committing to anything substantial. Simultaneously, Lauren pursued a marketing degree at Central Michigan University. She was intimately involved with several men during her college tenure, even involving herself with a marketing professor to upgrade a B to an A. With experience, Lauren mastered the art of attraction. By fate, they both secured jobs in Grand Rapids following graduation. Approaching the end of their post-graduation phase, Travis and some colleagues were relaxing on a Friday evening at a well-known bar and eatery when Lauren arrived with 2 acquaintances. Every gaze shifted towards the captivating woman adorning a short green dress with a daring neckline. Lauren scarcely acknowledged the admiration. By then, such attention had become commonplace for her. "Who's that divine being?" Steve White asked the entire table of colleagues. Immediately, Travis spoke up. "Ladies and gentlemen, let me introduce Lauren Soames, my former middle school sweetheart, who I fondly refer to as a goddess." The room turned to focus on him, many eyes wide with surprise. "Have you met her before?" one asked, astonished. Travis felt uncomfortable under the gaze. "We were around 14. Once high school began, I faded into obscurity, and she ignored me for the entire 4 years," he mumbled softly. "Do you have any interesting stories from that time?" A woman teased, causing chuckles among the group. This piqued Lauren's and her friend's interest. For a moment, Lauren thought she recognized one of the men present, but she was unsure. The trio sat down near them, with Lauren facing the table of the man who seemed slightly familiar. "Steve," urged White, "why not go say hello?" "Steve," another colleague quipped, "you seem to be drooling over her." "She acted as if she didn't know me for 4 years." Travis murmured, "I don't understand why she recognizes me now," nodding with others in agreement. Meanwhile, Lauren observed the man while enjoying her meal. Eventually, she pointed at him. One of her friends warned, "It's not prudent, Lauren," indicating someone in a restaurant can lead to issues in some locations. She disregarded her friend's caution. "I'll be gone for a bit," she stated. "I have to meet an old acquaintance." Without hesitation, Lauren left her seat and made her way to Travis' table. "Trav, it's great to see you," Lauren said, approaching him with enthusiasm. Travis shot his friends a look before turning to face his ex-classmate with a strained smile. "Lauren, nice to see you too," Travis replied, showing little emotion. Leaving her seat, Lauren bridged the gap between them and affectionately kissed Travis, resting her hands on his shoulders. Their companions sat in astonishment. Both Travis and himself were surprised as well. Lauren subtly smiled at him, a smile not entirely free from mischief. She found comfort in playing this game, aware he couldn't return the favor. Proposing they return to their table and meet her friends, she guided him along almost forcefully. For the greater part of the night, Travis was with Lauren and her companions. Before departing, Lauren acquired his phone number by adding it to hers. The enigma of Travis' nonchalance intrigued Lauren. It was a novel experience for her. He was courteous in the restaurant, but throughout the evening, he evenly distributed his attention between her and her friends. Despite numerous kisses, he never reciprocated. On Monday, Travis' bar colleagues inquired about his encounter with the striking woman, and they were surprised when he disclosed he stayed at the bar for merely an hour before departing home. "She's remarkable, but she's leagues beyond my reach by approximately 14 degrees. "I understand," he muttered. 2 days later, at his workplace parking lot, Travis once again faced turmoil. Upon seeing her by his car, he sighed to himself despite the fact that she, in a too-tight outfit, had an irresistible charm. "Why didn't you call, Trav?" she whispered as he neared. Travis struggled not to stare as he took in Lauren's figure, similar to a famished man gazing upon his long-awaited meal. Her top was unbuttoned low enough to reveal her cleavage, and the hem barely covered her midriff. "Well," he mumbled quietly as she moved to embrace him, kissing him. He felt helpless as she pressed against him, his hand reflexively going around her waist, accidentally touching her exposed derriere beneath her dress. Her tongue intertwined with his in a serpentine dance, causing him to momentarily forget his briefcase. He grasped her behind instead, elongating the kiss indefinitely. Once they reluctantly pulled away, Lauren repositioned her dress to hide her lingerie. Flabbergasted co-workers hastily left in their vehicles. They dined at a restaurant on the outskirts of town, savoring their meal. Despite Lauren's continuous adjustment of her dress, both Travis and the youthful waitress seemed amused by her discomfort. Travis maintained a guarded stance around Lauren, but in the company of this alluring divinity, he was helpless. His only strategy was to impress her during their encounter later that night. "Oh my God," Travis whispered under his breath as he admired the bare Lauren for the first time. This woman embodied the goddess that Travis had always imagined. If this was his one opportunity to give it his best, he had to keep passion in check with emotion. Satisfied, they lay there facing each other, holding eye contact. Lauren beamed suggestively. "I made a significant error in the past," she confided softly. "You're remarkable. I never knew. If only I had understood sooner. We've squandered so much time, Trav." Lauren recognized promise when she saw it. Although Travis didn't mirror her in appearance, he was attractive, fit, and appeared destined for achievement, and he excelled in intimate moments. "I believed she was talking to herself," Travis conceded. Despite Travis' doubts, mainly about her self-worth, their relationship prospered. While her physical attractiveness was apparent, he gradually grew fond of the genuine Lauren. "I bought an engagement ring, but before proposing, we discussed our views on faithfulness," Travis shared as they prepared for a serious talk at the table. "Whatever happened previously stays there. The same applies to me, but I require clarity about the future. From now on, I desire complete exclusivity between us. No exceptions. If you're uncertain about your readiness for this, I need to know immediately." Placing a small black box on the table, he faced Lauren and Travis. Lauren met his gaze, then glanced at the box. "I will never betray my husband under any circumstances," she asserted as Travis opened the box. Reflecting on her words, Travis realized that perhaps his wife didn't view this act as betrayal, given the advance notice. However, he knew this wasn't accurate. He hoped she would perceive it thus, because if not, he wouldn't be fully accepting it. Over the years, Travis was aware of multiple opportunities for her to stray, but as far as he could tell, she had rejected them, all a devoted wife indeed. With a rating of 10 or even 12, compared to his self-assessment of a 6 at best, there were certainly more physically compatible partners out there who might have caught her interest. Assuming she wasn't involved in an affair I'm unaware of, she has been a faithful wife for 23 years, Travis mused. For those years, he ought to have expressed gratitude, but didn't when he said, "I love you." It was eternal devotion he intended, not a mere 23 years. Truth be told, Lauren found herself inundated with proposals, not only from men Travis mentioned. She was aware she was more than beautiful. She was extraordinary, an exceptional gem amidst the ordinary beauties. Whenever God sculpted his wife, it was on an exceptional day, Travis often quipped. Initially, Lauren kept Travis abreast of unwanted advances for transparency's sake. However, after some time, Travis expressed trust in her, asking to be informed only if the inappropriate attention continued beyond her initial rejection, so he could intervene if needed. On the other hand, women seldom approached Travis. His wedding ring served as a sort of barrier. In fact, within minutes of meeting a woman, Travis would eagerly discuss his wife and kids, thereby dampening any potential interest. Without him realizing it, his behavior frequently dissuaded potential romantic overtures. Lauren remained blissfully unaware of how her husband's actions thwarted advances, or even more troublesome situations. Their seemingly idyllic marriage spanned 22 years until Rosa Esposito joined their professional sphere, working at the same public relations firm as Lauren. She was described in a way reminiscent of a Bob Seger song, captivating with her dark hair, big brown eyes, and full figure, drawing men like a magnet. Despite her potential for groundbreaking ideas, she remained a loyal assistant to Lauren, who was known as the epitome of romance. At 42, Rose had been married for 15 years, but expressed her discontentment with marriage. She openly discussed her extramarital adventures, vividly depicting passionate liaisons with various partners. "It's hard for me to believe you've never strayed since you got married," said Rose during a break at work. "You seem like such a stable woman, but it's hard to imagine you don't yearn for something more." Lauren replied, "I may be curious, but I wouldn't betray Travis." Lately, she had observed a decrease in male attention at bars and eateries, with younger women now receiving the looks that used to be directed towards her, causing her to question her appeal. Rose asked, "Suppose your husband gave you the go-ahead, what then?" Lauren seemed taken aback by this proposition, as it was a scenario she had never considered before. Her mind raced with thoughts. "If I had his approval, it would alter everything," she admitted, flashing a mischievous smile. Rose proposed, "Have you ever thought about asking for it?" She added, "They say everything valuable is worth pursuing." The idea had never crossed Lauren's mind before. Her expression wavered between intrigue and uncertainty. "He'll never give me the go-ahead." "Never," Lauren insisted. "Must I do everything for you?" Rose inquired. "Tacit approval. Tell him," she suggested. "Disregard whatever he responds. Make him believe that his affection for you allows it, and we'll navigate this jointly. Love isn't at stake here. I love only him." Travis glanced up as the sound of an approaching car reached the house, realizing it was close to 3 a.m. Casting a glance towards the partly consumed bottle of Woodford Reserve, he joked at Lauren upon her arrival, "Quite the night, right?" He examined the changed image of his wife. Messy hair, missing makeup, wrinkled attire. She appeared more self-assured than regretful. "I could say the same to you," she replied. "You didn't need to stay up. You knew I was going to bed. And perhaps you, but never again with you," he retorted. Lauren returned a scornful gaze and climbed the stairs. Travis drank more bourbon, continuing to watch ESPN. For the rest of the night, he remained in his recliner, feeling hunger pangs. By 9, he started preparing breakfast. As he ate, he heard the shower running in the master bathroom. Normally, Lauren would appear in a robe afterwards, her hair wrapped up. Today, she appeared flawlessly attired and groomed. "Did you prepare any food for me?" she inquired. "I brewed coffee, but you can prepare your own meals. Since you're dressed at home, this seems like an appropriate moment to discuss matters," he declared decisively. Lauren was taken aback by Travis' composure. She had anticipated him reacting impulsively, making manipulation easier. However, composed Travis proved more difficult for conversation, she recognized. "Won't you listen to my account of last night?" she inquired timidly. Travis discerned her air of arrogance. Was it her belief that he would be interested in hearing about her betrayal? Unlikely. "I'd rather understand your perspective on our marriage's future," Travis retorted calmly. "As I mentioned yesterday, I intend to pursue other men over a period of years. There will be no love involved, only the thrill of something new. You are exceptional in bed, but I yearn for variety. I want to engage with other men while I am still attractive. I've spent 23 years with you without any thought of infidelity." Lauren articulated her yearning for novelty and expressed a temporary desire for diversity in their relationship. She envisioned future shared adventures before settling down again. What she suggested, she said, was providing exceptional indulgence for the remainder of their lives. Travis listened attentively as Lauren spoke, preparing toast and jam for his coffee. He found her casual conversation about important life matters somewhat detached. Numerous questions arose in his mind. "Are you merely seeking variety? Do I fall short in some way?" he asked, speaking hesitantly. Before she could reply, he interjected with curiosity. "So, you're proposing an open relationship for a while, and then returning to monogamy later. Does this mean we can both explore other connections?" Lauren battled to suppress her laughter. The idea of her serious, reserved husband asking another woman out was simply amusing to her. Travis was the most dedicated to marriage of any man she had ever encountered. If that was the condition for his tentative consent, she affirmed it. "I suppose it will be a strictly physical encounter for you too." Travis arched an eyebrow and shrugged. Lauren didn't quite understand the implication, but she had a hunch. "Would you care to go out with Rose? She's a pleasant colleague from my office. I'm certain she would be thrilled," Lauren suggested, aware that her friend would assist in helping her maintain her marriage while seeking other intimate partners. Travis appeared bewildered. The young bachelor within him was attracted to Rose, but the responsible married man of 47 knew he couldn't act upon it. "I'd enjoy going out with Rose, but no, dear, thanks. That would make me as much a cheater as you were last night," he declared. Lauren's smiling face turned into a scowl of anger. "I am not a cheater," she exclaimed. "Well, if you say so, dear," he responded more gravely than she anticipated. "You persist in your disagreement," she said. "But I'll go ahead with it anyway," was her response. On Monday morning at 11 o'clock, Rose walked into Lauren's office and observed her unhappiness. "May he rot in hell, that narrow-minded jerk," Lauren muttered, closing the door behind Rose. "Oh dear, he rejected a date with you," Rose lamented. "I didn't realize I was up for discussion, but never mind. How could he pass up an opportunity like this?" She wondered aloud, gesturing to herself. "How did the date go? Was it enjoyable, or did Travis ruin it?" Rose asked. "The date was fantastic. Jonas certainly knows how to satisfy a woman," Lauren enthused. "Goodness, it's been years since I've been with another man. I must admit, it was refreshing. Who do you think I should approach next?" They both laughed heartily. Avoiding the topic of Travis' intentions, Lauren found comfort in the absence of imminent divorce documents. With minimal communication between them, she chose not to probe further about Travis' plans. Without his wife aware, Travis hesitated to speed up the divorce process. He held on to faith that she would reconsider her unwise intentions of infidelity. He thought that forgiveness and moving past her mistake were achievable if she ceased her reckless actions. His optimism heightened when Lauren missed a date the subsequent week. Despite their ongoing bedroom estrangement and tense communication, he noticed a spark of hope. Yet, on the following Friday night, Lauren was again impeccably attired, indicating another planned date. "Are you truly contemplating this once more with the same man, or are you interested in someone else this week?" Travis asked sharply. "Gosh, Trav, didn't you listen to anything I said? This isn't about you. It's about me satisfying desires before I lose my allure. It's not that I want you any less. I simply yearn for more diversity. You understand, right? I'm frequently sought after, and I just wish to indulge, but I will always return to you, she clarified. If I choose not to welcome your return, it doesn't mean I will relinquish you. I won't be a passive observer while you indulge. This isn't my nature. I won't tolerate being kept on hold while you sample numerous men. A single date I could bear, but twice. It's disrespectful. It's betrayal. Wasting entire nights out partying. Our relationship is over. He defended, that's not my destiny. She mimicked dismissively, wiggling her fingers. Wah, 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 wah. You don't wish to lose me. It doesn't have to be an all-or-nothing situation. Last week, Travis directed his lawyer to draft the required documents, just in case they were necessary. He planned to call his wife on Monday morning, but before that, he had to inform their daughters. When he reached out to them that evening, neither Jackie, 21, nor Michelle, 19, seemed taken aback. However, as he conversed with both, he discovered Jackie might have had a premonition. So you were aware she was heading towards this calamity and didn't warn me, he exclaimed over the phone. Travis objected, saying you shouldn't withhold information about what occurred because he found himself in a difficult situation, and either way, one of them would have been upset with him. Furthermore, he emphasized that it's her body, not his to control. If she chooses to share it, he suggested ceasing discussion. I get that you've put him in a tough spot, but don't imply she can do whatever she wants with her body whenever she wants, Travis interjected. When Lauren arrived at 2 in the morning, Travis wasn't present. She appeared more disheveled than during her previous outing, suggesting a physically intense encounter with Gabriel Esposito, a strong man. By the end of the night, she was anticipating a few bruises from his grasp by tomorrow, but overall, it had been a wonderful evening. Lauren anticipated seeing Gabriel at some point. The arrival of divorce papers at her office on Monday morning left Lauren stunned and humiliated. She began to cry and hastily went to the women's restroom, where Rose found her soon afterward. You should have foreseen this, Rose said. He's trying to retaliate against you. Men can be so immature sometimes. Give him a week to brood in solitude, and he'll come begging for forgiveness. Composing herself, Lauren returned to her desk, picked up her phone, and called her husband instantly. How could you do this to me in front of everyone at work? I understand you're hurting, but don't I deserve better, Trav? She shouted down the line. After 23 years together, isn't there more than you unilaterally opening our marriage? If I'm not your choice, why didn't you give me a heads up so we could separate like adults? I don't want civility, I don't want a divorce. I still love you, she wept. Despite my lingering affection for you, each time you involve another person, that love diminishes, he grumbled. My love isn't infinite like yours, a conviction I held steadfastly. Perhaps we were both mistaken. Despite Travis's objections, Lauren pursued divorce. Her attorney arranged marriage counseling, with Travis reluctantly attending. As they stepped into the therapist's office, they found Lillian Kamaka already there. Research on marriage counselors indicates that many strive to reconcile divorcing couples, often with a bias towards women. The therapist started off. Let's begin with the fundamentals, Mrs. Wesley. Did you, in fact, disclose your plan to date other men for several years to your husband? Travis attempted to suppress his smile. Lauren fought to mask her surprise. Yes, I did, she replied softly. That's what I desire. I don't need him to make that decision for me. It won't impact our marriage. We will end our session here, the therapist announced. My apologies for the inconvenience, Mrs. Wesley. Lauren promised to notify the judge and bring an end to her deceitful act. However, Lauren stammered in protest. If you believed for a moment that your actions towards your husband could sway me, then you're mistaken, Miss Kamaka retorted. Frankly, you've disappointed me. For the following month, Lauren repeatedly contacted Travis daily as he adjusted to his new small apartment. He chose to ignore her calls and messages. When their daughter intervened, they spoke with him. Dad, don't you still love her? If she stopped seeing other men, would you reconsider? Michelle inquired during one of these talks. She continues even after I filed for divorce? Travis asked, his voice quivering, confirming his suspicions. The silence that followed confirmed his assumptions. Michelle did not call again or urge reconciliation. Travis was astonished by the rapid spread of the news about his upcoming divorce, particularly among unattached women. At his workplace, several women, including some mutual friends with him and his wife, empathized over his marital issues. Travis was aware that not all their sympathies were purely sincere. Connie Mayung, a long-standing friend of his wife's, reached out to express her condolences and hinted at offering emotional support. This unexpected advancement from her, as she had never displayed interest in him before, left Travis taken aback. "I wouldn't poach a friend's husband. That's just wrong," she reassured him. "However, now that you're no longer married, things are different. I find myself drawn to you." "Surprised?" she asked. "I'm flattered, but I'm not yet divorced," he replied. "Connie, we won't start anything until after the divorce. I might be old-fashioned, but I won't be unfaithful," Travis made clear. "You're quite a gentleman, Trav. That's one of the qualities I appreciate about you. Could you arrange a date for me once you're free?" she inquired. "Of course," he consented. Travis expressed his reluctance to potentially jeopardize your friendship with Lauren, considering you two have been friends for a long time. Connie responded, expressing her desire not to miss an opportunity, even if it's unusual. In jest, Travis suggested they reconnect when he's more available. Connie, a petite Asian woman with a toned physique and long black hair, was an unexpected interest for Travis. As promised, Travis reached out to Connie following his divorce finalization. They spent the weekend at a restaurant and a local jazz club together. Connie acknowledged Travis' discomfort, and he admitted it felt like being a naive teenager again. "Have I still got the same old condom from my last date before Lauren?" she quipped, teasingly. "Perhaps I should have brought another one," Travis joked in response. Travis acknowledged he had lost his touch, remarking he hadn't considered a certain situation. By night's end, Connie tenderly kissed him, leaving them both content. Travis vowed to contact her again. The absence of his wedding ring following his divorce seemed insignificant to Travis, but it stirred interest among single female colleagues. Numerous office co-workers commented on the missing ring, causing an upsurge in flirtation at work. This was unknown territory for Travis, and one day during lunch, he shared his predicament with his work buddy Robert Ardito. "Wow, there are so many alluring women in this office. How did I not notice this before?" Travis expressed. "Apparently, you were blinded by your devotion to her," Robert Ardito observed. "You were so smitten that you overlooked other women's attractiveness. Yes, she is beautiful, but you allowed her to dominate you, and perhaps that was a factor. After the divorce, she frequently pushes limits, and it's beneficial. You, on the other hand, were so accustomed that not a woman gave you a second look." In the first month post-divorce, Travis went on 4 dates, 2 with Connie. Though he hadn't yet slept with any of them, it wasn't his intention. By the second month, the demand persisted, and he ended up sleeping with 2 women. Travis' daughters, who had been closer to their mother than him recently, kept hearing her brag that while she could attract any man easily, their father found companionship challenging, if not a steady girlfriend. Moved by sympathy for their father, they unexpectedly visited him one Saturday morning approximately 2 months after the divorce. Travis wasn't thrilled about being awakened at 8:36 am, especially considering he had entertained guests late the previous night. Sonia, a 25-year-old woman with ample curves, was a friend's daughter in need of a trustworthy date for her wedding. The night progressed smoothly, prompting them to extend it at Travis' flat. As Sonia dozed off in his bed, Travis, robed, opened the door to find his daughters grinning with breakfast supplies. "What's happening?" he asked, taken aback as they entered. "Hey, Dad, can your favorite 2 daughters join you for breakfast?" Jackie chimed as they began unloading the bags. After sharing affectionate cheek kisses, Travis guided them to the kitchen table. They were almost done with their bagels when Sonia appeared from the bedroom wearing one of Travis' shirts, only partially buttoned and possibly nothing else underneath. "Didn't realize we had visitors, sweetheart," Sonia said. "Mom said you make the decisions." Both girls reddened as Sonia poured herself coffee. No, no, Sonia, these are my daughters, Jackie and Michelle, Travis explained, indicating each. We were having breakfast. Bagels with salmon, Sonia chuckled, causing her generously endowed, unsupported chest to shake. Travis was touched by Jackie brushing against his arm and taking a seat next to him. The group chatted casually until Jackie brought up Travis' recent encounters with Lauren, causing a change in his mood, the first such feeling in days. Previously, he thought it unlikely he'd feel upset around Sonia, considering her energetic personality, but now he found himself troubled. Dad, Jackie said, as Sonia chuckled and Michelle frowned, we were under the impression that you might be missing Mom. We knew she missed you, but we thought she'd be living it up without you. I was her anchor, though. She's been hosting 2 guests at a time in our old bed. Jackie exclaimed, while Sonia giggled and Michelle frowned. Dad, Sonia isn't promiscuous. Consider that seriously. How many different men has she been with since we broke up? And I knew about the 2 before you left. Both girls blushed and looked down. Impressive. If it's 2 men each month for 10 months, that's 20 distinct individuals and 30 total men. Quite a number, isn't it? Sonia commented. If disapproving glares could end someone, Travis' daughters would have sent Sonia to the grave instantly. She was well aware of this fact. Don't lay the blame on me for being promiscuous, Sonia joked. Let's not spoil my weekend, kids, Travis interjected. Excuse us, the 3 women apologized in unison. So, are you 2 dating? Jackie inquired softly, as if to Sonia. You don't seem much older than me. Your father mentioned we're around the same age, but rest assured, I won't become your stepmother. We're just friends. He's a fantastic man. He was my date at the reception last night, and he's quite attractive. Did I mention he's a great guy? Indeed, we can agree on his greatness, although we know he can be rather foolish at times, Jackie observed. Sonia's comments left Travis blushing, and she followed suit. Remember, dear, we have lunch with the newlyweds' families at the hotel at noon, Sonia said, changing the subject. Meanwhile, their daughters rolled their eyes at their father. A few weeks later at lunch, Jackie told her mother, Mom, she's my age, and it wasn't a one-off encounter. They spent quite some time together. They seemed to enjoy each other's company. I doubt he'll return to you any time soon. No, you just caught him on a good day. He probably helped out a friend and got lucky. She's probably promiscuous, Sonia replied. Jackie defended her father by saying, Your dad is a wonderful man, but he's not a playboy. And it seems like your self-absorption took precedence at some point. Was it worth it? Lauren's expression finally showed the burden she had been carrying. From Rose's point of view, things seemed significantly better than they truly were. She found it difficult to tell her daughter that their love life was routine and not worth the trouble. Moreover, she couldn't acknowledge that she had never envisioned Travis with anyone other than his beautiful ex-wife. In fact, she was so preoccupied with herself that she didn't comprehend that a good-looking man with impressive qualities, intelligence, and a stable job would be highly attractive in the dating world, not just for older women. She understood that Travis had dated multiple women after their divorce, including her old friend Connie, and now, with some young, sexually active woman around the age of their eldest daughter, instead of staying home, he went on dates like a young 20-year-old, getting more attention than was warranted. When she learned that her friend was dating her ex, she chose to remain silent, thinking it was due to sympathy. However, when the second date took place, she confronted Connie privately, her voice noticeably tense. I believed we were friends, Con, Lauren asserted. You're supposed to stand by me. It's crucial that women support one another. But Trev didn't wrong you, Lauren. He's a good man, exceptional even. Everything I look for in a partner. Why can't I date him? Women are vying for his attention. He's prime dating material and a true gentleman. Moreover, he's impressive in bed. I'd go out with him whenever he asks. How could you discourage such an appealing catch? Lauren stared at her friend, wide-eyed, as she began to comprehend the gravity of her mistake. She adored Travis and found solace in his company, preferring not to return to an empty house each day or endure lonely nights. Conversely, Travis had never envisioned his life taking such a turn. He would have been content with his routine, yet, beyond that, life was treating him well. His work was rewarding and his social circle thriving. He appreciated the companionship of women from different walks of life, many of his dates leading to intimacy. He wasn't pursuing a long-term relationship, but he appreciated the diversity. Life offered more than just marrying a beautiful woman. Marla Goodling, with her silver hair streaked with purple, often wore a Chicago Cubs baseball cap and sported a snug blue Cubs t-shirt that accentuated her ample figure. Her light blue levis fitted her as if she were 20 years old. Despite her age of 60, she drew more than her share of attention in the left field bleachers at Wrigley Field. One among those admiring her was Travis Wesley, the former husband of one of Marla's longtime colleagues, Lauren Wesley. They attended a Cubs game during a weekend trip to Chicago. Marla had worked with Lauren Wesley for over 15 years. I had met Travis at various company events where he accompanied his then-wife, and I always found him attractive and pleasant, Marla recalled. Marla had known that Travis and Lauren split up roughly 2 years ago, while she herself had been a widow for approximately 5 years following her husband's car accident-related death. Her dating life had been sparse since then, with only one date before attempting to get Travis's contact information. Upon recalling her, Travis found it difficult to forget her blend of grace and attractiveness. He expressed interest in dining with her, which she accepted several months prior to the present day. Their first encounter took place at an upscale restaurant followed by a Philharmonic concert, Marla graciously providing tickets. The night ended with a kiss on her doorstep. Their second date consisted of a hike on a Saturday where Travis frequently stopped, causing Marla to chuckle. It transpired that she and her deceased husband were enthusiastic hikers and climbers. Despite Travis's self-perception as fit, he realized his error in this regard during their outdoor adventure. He discovered Marla's fit body for her age and striking gray eyes. The date reached its climax with tender lovemaking on Marla's living room rug after a passionate kissing session on her sofa. Her combination of sophistication and homey appeal fascinated him. Marla consented when Travis proposed a weekend of sightseeing in Chicago as their third date. On their initial excursion, Marla informed Travis that she had no plans to tell Lauren about their relationship. Although she wouldn't deny it if questioned, she had no intention of making their relationship public knowledge. Additionally, Marla revealed to Travis that Lauren had told her colleagues they were divorcing due to insurmountable differences. Travis repeated the same tale he had shared with others. Lauren had cheated on him with at least 2 other men without providing additional details. In the 2 years since their divorce, Travis has cultivated multiple meaningful relationships and enjoyed what he considers an outstanding sex life. Travis' partners respected him greatly, some even yearning for a relationship beyond partnership. However, Travis wished to restore faith in women and contemplate marriage, while Lauren harbored different intentions. She had made it clear to her former husband that she desired only physical pleasure, not emotional bonds like most of her acquaintances. This fundamental disparity between the ex-partners became problematic for Jackie, heavily involved in wedding preparations, which were generously financed by her pleased father. When Lauren proposed to Jackie that both parents attend the wedding unaccompanied to minimize friction, Jackie consented and subsequently suggested this idea to her father during their lunch meeting that week. "Is this your creative proposal or your mother's?" Travis inquired sternly. "I will be bringing a woman with me. I am covering the costs of this event, and I wish to savor it with my partner. Have you mastered dancing lessons, as I have, specifically for our wedding?" Travis firmly stated, "She's attempting to manipulate me and act selfishly for her own gain. I can't attend my daughter's wedding without an escort. If you can't tell her, I will. She can come alone or with someone of her choice, but I will too." Jackie understood. "I'll speak with her," he said. "I admire your perspective and look forward to seeing you dance. However, could you possibly bring someone closer in age?" Travis agreed, saying, "We'll certainly coordinate our dance moves." With a smile, Travis took Connie Mann to the wedding, despite their dispute over the sea green dress he bought for her. He justified his decision as a father of the bride, who needed to wear a tuxedo, and so a new dress was necessary, which he happily paid for. "And I've considered shoes too," he added with a chuckle. Walking his eldest daughter down the aisle was one of the most bittersweet experiences for Travis. It embodied what other fathers had described, yet he recognized it as a glorious day. He, Connie, and their children enjoyed the celebrations, dancing into the wee hours. The only sour note occurred when Travis's ex-wife arrived with her companion. While Travis was unaffected, the man frequently ogled Travis throughout the wedding, and later, at multiple women, behaving boisterously drunk. Upon Jackie's request, Lauren promptly removed the man, evidently embarrassed. In a brief restroom encounter, Lauren confronted Connie, accusing her of stealing her man. Calmly, Connie denied the claim, stating that Travis had divorced Lauren before they began dating. Lauren remained silent, allowing Connie to depart without further conflict, unwilling to tarnish the family's joyous occasion. A few months following the wedding, Michelle visited her father and seemed troubled. Travis paused, then questioned Mitch. "So, Mitch, what's going on?" He noticed Mitch appeared tense throughout the evening. Michelle flushed and stuttered, sensing something was off. Travis picked up on this. "Well, Dad," she started hesitantly, "have you and Mom ever been close again? And I heard her talking to friends about having syphilis, a sexually transmitted disease." She shared quietly, evading eye contact with him. Taken aback, Travis looked surprised, then saddened as he observed Michelle. "It seems you're telling me this to protect me," he said. "But it's important for potential partners to be informed about such diseases so they can get tested. I didn't know that." "I was merely expressing my worry about you, Dad," she said. "I've heard from some friends that Mom is quite active in her romantic life. It's uncomfortable when a friend reveals your mom isn't flawless." A few days later, Travis got an apprehensive call from Marla. He deduced she shared Michelle's concerns, possibly fretting about her own safety too. "If you're questioning whether I slept with my ex, let me assure you it didn't happen," Travis clarified. "I comprehend your concern, but I can't regulate the actions of my ex." "The most benign term used to describe her recently is scandalous," Marla commented. "In recent months, her extramarital activities have become a popular topic among gossips. It appears the longer she's single, the less restrained she becomes." Lauren used her history of STDs as ammunition to rekindle things with Travis. Having enjoyed her past liaisons, 6 months after being declared cured, she started planning their reunion. Despite not intending for it, she still held some anger towards Travis for initiating their divorce. She thought he wouldn't dare divorce someone like her, assuming his search for a partner of her caliber was improbable. However, other women pursued Travis, a development she couldn't comprehend due to her confidence in her charm. "I know he's wonderful," she confided in Rose one night as they waited for their dates while sipping margaritas. "But can't these women see he doesn't measure up to my level?" she lamented. Rose endorsed her friend's lifestyle, underestimating Travis' depth. They monitored Travis' post-ultimatum activities, only to discover his post-divorce social life was as vibrant as their own. If Lauren were truthful, she might acknowledge that her ex-husband appeared to be emotionally content. While Travis genuinely enjoyed dating, Lauren remained within her circle without the same intimacy, experiencing a prolonged dry spell following an STD scare. Perhaps it was the right moment for him and Lauren to reconcile, she contemplated. The voice on the other end of the line caught Travis off guard. It had been nearly 2 years since he last spoke with his ex-wife. One of their daughters must have shared her new phone number without his explicit approval. Though he didn't forbid them from doing so, he made it clear that he saw no purpose in ongoing direct communication. "Hello, Travis," she purred sweetly. "I believe we should reconnect. We had agreed not to converse until Mikhail married. Since that hasn't happened yet, perhaps we'll return to the quiet as before," Travis responded. "Unchanged, Lauren, still trying to make everything about you. Listen, I understand your feelings for me haven't faded, but I'm still hurt by what transpired between us. Maybe it would have been better if I'd simply cheated on you and kept it secret, but that would have been dishonest," she confessed. "It was still dishonest, Lauren. Merely informing me didn't alter its reality. You did it because you assumed I wouldn't leave you. Do you truly underestimate me? Asked Travis. Yes, you believe yourself to be a 10 or perhaps even a 12. However, beyond that, you are beautiful. I don't require living in your shadow. The past few years have demonstrated my worth extends beyond being the husband of a beautiful woman. Other women desire what I offer and are prepared to reciprocate emotionally. My recent years have been fulfilling. Why would I want to date a self-centered woman again who clearly doesn't value me and, regardless of her words, doesn't love me as I loved her? He confirmed, loved in the past tense. After ending the call, Travis turned to the woman beside him. Ready for another round? He asked Sonia. Eventually, Lauren found her soulmate and married him, while Connie and Marla continued their relationship with Travis. He loved both of them uniquely, but never remarried again. They showed affection for him in their unique ways, and both women acknowledged this relationship dynamic. Several years passed, and they were both invited to his second daughter Michelle's wedding. This caused displeasure in Lauren, as she did not extend the invitation to her boyfriend. She voiced her concerns to her daughter, but Michelle showed no sympathy. Following me, Jackie and Dad's family, Connie and Marla, are the two individuals closest to him, Michelle explained. They love him sincerely and prioritize him over their own self-centered desires, a luxury not everyone possesses. He was yours, but you abandoned him in pursuit of more affection. Why? Because you were afraid of aging and believed he had no other options, that he would never leave you, not for anyone or anything. Travis found contentment in his life, even if it wasn't his initial plan. He departed from a situation he considered unbearable. Lauren's life was not one of solitude and remorse. After all, she remained attractive, and many men are drawn to beautiful women merely by their presence. Lauren often encountered brief liaisons and found herself in transient relationships, yet none progressed into long-term commitments. Looking back, she lamented informing her former spouse of her departure, continuing to grapple with the fact that Travis had let go of her so swiftly. How could she have underestimated the situation so significantly? She was a perfect 10, but he was merely a 6. It shouldn't have concluded in this manner. This story has come to an end. Now the next story. In his dreams, Dave Pearson envisioned a life marked by familial bonds intertwined with the gratification of operating a business. Post his military service, he established a company in suburban Philadelphia, convinced that perseverance would pave the way for prosperity. Despite being committed to work, his commitment to family, wife Linda, daughter Allie, and valued employees was unwavering. Over the years, he cultivated a flourishing enterprise that resembled an extended family, with staff who developed close relationships extending beyond office confines. The company prospered through teamwork, and Dave derived joy not merely from the increasing profits, but from the robust community spirit he had fostered. Employees shared in celebrations, consoled each other during losses, and provided mutual support, forming connections that filled Dave with immense contentment. One uneventful Friday evening, Dave stood serenely in his solitary office, taking pride in the 33 employees and their harmonious camaraderie, particularly the seamless collaboration between his wife Linda managing finances and his brother Rich handling sales. Unbeknownst to him, this tranquility would not endure. The flow of Dave's thoughts was disrupted by his office manager, Hannah, who inquired about requirements for the following day's pork roast. Smiling, Dave humorously questioned why she was referring to him as boss when it was evident she ran the show. Hannah reciprocated with a grin, acknowledging her control over the office before posing the question again. Dave informed her that Linda had everything under control. Upon noticing Linda nearby, he called out to her. She joked, wondering if he was speaking of her. In response, Dave playfully inquired who else he would be referring to, causing amusement among everyone present. The conversation veered towards the debate over who held the real power. Linda smirked, stating it was an open secret that Hannah ran the office. Hannah retorted by mentioning that Linda ruled the roost at home. Dave chuckled, deciding against addressing that topic, and Linda quipped that it was more enjoyable when neither of them wore pants, inciting laughter once more. Dave expressed his contentment in still being in their honeymoon stage after 17 years. Hannah then inquired again about the need for anything the next day. Linda verified arrangements were all set and inquired about the guest count. Hannah disclosed 28 employees, 26 relatives, and 31 children would attend. Linda assured sufficiency of food. Asking if anyone else was accompanying her, Hannah indicated she would go solo. Linda suggested introducing her to someone, but Hannah declined emphatically. Dave intervened, advising Linda to let Hannah be, reassuring her about Hannah's well-being. Linda apologized for her intrusion, stating her concern stemmed from affection. Later, as Dave and Linda headed towards their car, planning their weekly Friday outing, Dave asked if the reservation had been made. Linda confirmed, detailing her choices: Mongolian beef for Dave, General Tso's chicken for Ollie, and a seafood platter for herself. During their drive home, Linda observed Dave fell silent and inquired about his well-being. Dave pondered over confessing that despite the joy life held, he was becoming aware of how swiftly Ollie was maturing. It wouldn't be long before they were a duo, as Ollie would initiate her own outings and eventually head off to college. Linda comforted him by saying Ollie would forever remain their little girl, but Dave sighed, conceding that children eventually grow up, however reluctant he might be. To lift his spirits, Linda proposed transforming their Friday evenings into Chinese movie nights, exclusively for the two of them. This suggestion brought a smile to Dave's face, momentarily easing his worries. Upon entering home, Ollie hurried to embrace her father, radiating enthusiasm. Their dog Banjo barked cheerily and sniffed the discarded shopping bags. Excitedly, Ollie declared she had aced her geometry test. Dave grinned back at her, reminding her he had assured her all would be well. Upon reflection, she admitted she hadn't trusted his words, but rewarded him with a kiss on the cheek in gratitude. Linda observed affectionately as Ollie interacted fondly with her father, akin to the bond she shared with her deceased dad. During supper, they exchanged animated discussions and subsequently shifted to the living room. Dave, finding his spot, asked who would select tonight's movie. Rapidly, Ollie claimed it and opted for Robin Hood. Men in Tights an older comedy Dave had previously mentioned. Dave amusedly commented on the film's age, yet voiced astonishment over her choice not to pick the latest John Wick installment. Linda stepped in, insisting that no action films would be watched tonight. Ollie giggled, remembering she lost count of the casualties in the last movie at 100, but promised a fun evening with this film. They arranged themselves on the couch, Dave positioned centrally, with Ollie and Linda on both sides. As they unwinded, Dave was struck by how rapidly Ollie was maturing, the impending departure thought causing him disquiet. The following day, Dave's brother Rich and his wife Sonia arrived early to aid in preparations for the large event. Whilst Sonia and Ollie worked indoors, Dave, Linda, and Rich tended to outdoor duties. As Dave cleaned the pool, he felt a familiar sensation and dashed inside, alerting Linda that he required the bathroom. In a jest, she cautioned him not to dirty the guest powder room recently cleaned by Ollie. Preferring the solitude of the basement bathroom, Dave appreciated its quiet, dark ambience where his thoughts could roam freely. Hearing voices outside the small window, he surmised it was Linda talking to Rich, her voice tinged with worry. She voiced concern that Dave might discover them, but Rich allayed her fears, stating that he was occupied. Dave felt a sinking sensation in his heart as he listened, anxiety growing with each word. Linda disclosed that their sons had brought home forms for a DNA test and inquired if Ollie's school had done the same. Rich responded that he wasn't aware of it. Then, Rich posed the question that startled Dave like a cannon shot. It was about whether Linda had ever learned if Dave was Ollie's father. Linda confessed she had been evading it, but would verify with the school. Rich paused before inquiring whether they should discontinue their relationship, acknowledging the risk. Linda decisively rejected, asserting that they had managed to keep their secret for years and didn't want Dave to discover, as it would devastate them both. Rich hinted he might begin anew, but Linda furiously called him a cad and affirmed their next encounter on Tuesday at 6 in the evening at Valley View. They then departed, leaving Dave in stunned stillness, his world crumbling around him. Dave shut the window, feeling nauseous. Tears streamed as he whispered, "What should I do now?" The agony was unendurable, yet he knew he couldn't confront them at that moment, with a house full of guests due soon. He had to maintain composure, even though his heart was broken. After nearly 20 minutes in the basement, Dave recognized he had to emerge. Desperate for a solution, he contemplated. "Ice," he murmured. Venturing out for ice would provide him moments to collect himself. He splashed water on his face, trying to conceal his agitation, then ascended the stairs, intent on maintaining a semblance of normalcy. Upon seeing Sonia, he announced, "Inform Linda I'm fetching ice." "Certainly," she responded innocently, oblivious to his inner turmoil. At the store, Dave spent a few minutes walking and pondering. Customarily, walking eased his thoughts, but not this time as tears threatened to spill. Irritated, he barked, "Quit it!" He was unfamiliar with emotional outbursts, and it enraged him. Maintaining control was crucial, and he needed a strategy to navigate the party and upcoming days without drawing attention. The walk offered some respite, and he started devising a plan. Recognizing his prolonged absence, he purchased 8 bags of ice and returned home, steeling himself for what awaited. Allie acknowledged him first, sensing his distress. She inquired about his condition, and Dave deceived, claiming stomach upset had forced him to stop. Dave requested Allie to transfer the ice to the freezer as he felt the need to take a nap. Worried, Allie consented and promised to inform Linda. Dave hoped that some personal time would allow him to regain composure. When Linda verified his condition, he disclosed stomach pains and vomiting without fever. Linda expressed sympathy and advised him to rest, stating it was acceptable if he chose not to attend the gathering. Alone, Dave walked restlessly and contemplated. He deduced that a divorce was imminent and both Rich and Linda would be dismissed. He pondered over the financial consequences and the impact on Sonia, the boys, and his parents, but his primary concern was Allie. He dreaded losing her despite their non-biological bond. As he struggled to maintain control, Allie appeared upstairs. Dave feigned sleep, feeling her tenderly stroke his hair. She inquired about his well-being, and he whispered that he required rest before the guests arrived. The dog, Banjo, hopped onto the bed and licked his face, oblivious to the tears it was wiping away. Allie grinned, mentioning she'd brought him a companion and expressing her affection towards him. She planted a kiss on his forehead, and in that instant, Dave sensed her love and became convinced he had acted wisely. He recognized that Allie required the truth prior to any conflict, though he loathed the necessity of it. Dave pondered over Linda and Rich's intentions, finding their deceit beyond comprehension. He knew it was only a matter of time before he revealed their treachery, shattering the idyllic life he once cherished. A bitter sentiment washed over him as he thought, "Wretched them." Nevertheless, Dave managed to interact pleasantly with the guests. Linda and Rich were preoccupied, making it easy for him. Hannah noticed something was amiss, but said nothing. Dave kept Allie close, deriving solace from her proximity. She attributed his desire for closeness to his supposed illness, helping him sustain the facade. Following the chores, Dave disclosed he was going to retire early, opting for the guest room as an alibi, which Linda conceded. Feeling content that his initial plan had been executed successfully, he found himself at church with his family the next morning. During the service, Dave feigned receiving a text message to catch Linda's gaze. She looked puzzled, but he simply whispered, "Later." After the service concluded, Linda inquired about the content of the text. Dave informed her that the owner of Gupta Water Equipment required his presence at a Monday meeting, and he would return by Tuesday. Intrigued, Linda asked where this meeting was taking place. Dave revealed it was in Pittsburgh and explained that he intended to leave later that day for some rest beforehand. Linda then wondered if they were still planning on visiting his parents' house for lunch. Dave confirmed their plans, but suggested that Linda and Allie remain longer by traveling separately. Dave felt pleased with how events were unfolding. He had successfully dodged Rich during brunch, and Linda was preoccupied enough to miss his emotional detachment. Following lunch, Dave departed, made a stop at home for relevant documents, and booked a hotel room nearby their business. Later, he phoned his friend and attorney Bill about the predicament. Since Bill had experienced a similar divorce, they discussed it. Although Bill wasn't a specialist in family law, he recommended his associate Angela, known for handling such cases. After speaking with her, Angela consented to have dinner with them. At dinner, Dave found out that Bill and Angela were engaged. They delved into the strategy during dinner, and Angela scheduled a meeting on Monday to iron out the details. It appeared Dave would be ready to deliver the divorce papers to Linda by Friday. While on the phone, he feigned being in Pittsburgh and asked how Allie was. Linda replied that she was watching TV nearby, so Dave requested to speak with her on speakerphone, and Allie happily shared she missed him. Dave assured Allie he'd return home for their date on Tuesday, and she appeared cheerful, suggesting a film for them. Following their farewells, Linda felt a pang of sadness from the short discussion, attributing it to Dave being tired from his long journey. Dave attempted to freshen up by opening the hotel window, but was met with foul dumpster smells. Quite ideal, he mused, contemplating the chaos that had ensnared his life. He closed the window and spent the night grappling with his thoughts. The subsequent day, his meeting with Bill and Angela went smoothly. That night, Dave made another brief call home, feigning a dinner engagement with clients. In truth, he was brainstorming in his hotel room, apprehensive about the following day when he'd have to disclose everything to Allie. He recognized it would hasten her maturity, a discussion he abhorred deeply. 10:30 a.m. on Tuesday, Dave solidified his strategy, conferring with his lawyer about corporate matters and exit packages for Linda and Rich. Post-lunch, he showed up at the office, feigning a recent return from Pittsburgh. Encountering Hannah stirred feelings he believed were suppressed. Swerving towards his office, he awkwardly grinned before closing the door behind him. "Pull yourself together," he whispered to himself. He scrutinized his plans, took a deep breath, and invited Hannah into his office. "Hi, Dave," she greeted him, but her smile swiftly dissipated upon seeing his tear-stained visage. Disregarding office decorum, she hastened towards him for a hug. "What's wrong? Are you all right?" he asked shakily. "No," he replied. "I'm not ill, but something's terribly amiss." Hannah arranged a seat, holding his hand. "What's happening? Is it Linda?" she inquired, noting the agony in his eyes. He nodded, finding it challenging to speak. "Rich," he eventually whispered. "Your brother?" she asked, shocked. Hannah circulated the room in agitation, later composing herself to embrace Dave once more. "Did you discover the truth before the gathering?" Dave acknowledged, detailing his clandestine listening to their discussion and epiphany regarding the situation. "It's inconceivable that you won't remain with her," Hannah voiced her doubts. "They've been together for 16 years. I can hardly believe it." Hannah mixed them each a rum and coke. After some drinks, they switched topics. "Rich and Linda will be terminated following this week. I want Sonia to assume Linda's position on an interim basis. However, you'll have to cover her tasks temporarily." "I can manage," Hannah reassured him. "Regarding sales, I'm contemplating promoting Debbie Gleason. She's demonstrated enthusiasm for the role, and I believe she would excel." "I concur," Hannah said. "Tammy Fields could substitute for Debbie." "Agreed. On Friday, inform them that we'll meet on Monday to discuss their promotions. Would you also draft job descriptions before then?" "Certainly. Anything else?" Emotions welled in Dave's eyes as he pondered his friend's imminent separation from Linda. Hannah embraced him warmly. "It's an honor for me." Following their work separation, Hannah empathized profoundly with Dave, acknowledging he didn't deserve such suffering. The following morning, Linda wandered around the kitchen, distressed by her decisions. It had been almost a year since she was with Rich, and she questioned why she ever engaged with him. Firm in her resolve to end it completely, she justified that Rich wouldn't inform Dave because he had too much at stake. As her thoughts consumed her, Dave entered and Linda rushed into his arms, kissing him. Caught off guard, Dave inquired about the sudden affection. Linda expressed her love for him and her longing since the picnic. Dave, deceivingly, reciprocated, all while pondering how Linda would react if he inquired about Rich. When Linda broached the subject of his plans with Allie, Dave mentioned taking her to Vincent's for Italian and a movie. Linda asked about his nighttime agenda. In response, Dave asked why she was inquisitive. She hesitated slightly and responded that she intended to shop at the mall. Dave playfully nudged Linda about browsing shops, prompting a strained smile. She mentioned the possibility of finding something intriguing. Dave quipped, "Shop safely," which he soon realized was inappropriate given her response. He tried to downplay it, sensing her discomfort. Fortunately, Allie appeared downstairs, lifting the tension. Allie enthusiastically greeted Dave, and they conversed about their arrangements. As they departed, Linda experienced a complex mix of feelings, deciding that tonight would be their final outing with Rich. 20 minutes later, she gathered her keys and departed to meet him. While Dave and Allie left, an unsettling fear took hold of Dave. He attempted to calm himself by taking deep breaths and holding Allie's hand, apologizing for the sudden change in plans. Concerned, Allie asked the reason. Dave disclosed they wouldn't be having a fancy dinner or watching a movie, but needed to talk about something significant instead. Worried, Allie inquired if it was a secret from her mother. Dave eased her concerns, asking for patience until they were no longer driving. They traveled in quietness till they arrived at Chick-fil-A, collected food, and then made their way to a tiny office complex beside the Valley View Motel. Allie asked why this location, and Dave hesitated before disclosing that Linda was having an affair and her lover would be meeting there shortly. Taken aback, Allie refused to accept it. Dave sadly verified her suspicions, and as they looked on, two vehicles pulled into the motel. Allie identified her mother's car, followed by Uncle Rich exiting and entering the motel with Linda. Shattered, Allie and Dave hugged each other as Dave took photos of the encounter. They witnessed Linda and Rich embrace and enter a motel room together. Dave apologized to Allie, who, tears streaming down her face, understood the gravity of the situation. She pledged loyalty to her father, denouncing her mother. Dave promised every effort to keep her with him. Angered, Allie threatened that if forced to live with her mother, she would make her existence unbearable. In that moment, Dave realized it wasn't advisable to foster an open perspective regarding his relationship with Linda. He cautioned Allie about the impending difficulties and stressed their need for discretion until he spoke to Linda on Friday. Overwhelmed by her predicament, Allie questioned her ability to conceal her feelings, but Dave encouraged her, assuring them they would confront this challenge together. They departed from the motel in search of a private space to discuss their strategy. Dave guided them to a tranquil picnic spot within a nearby park. There, they spent hours conversing, strategizing, weeping, and releasing pent-up emotions. This shared experience fortified their bond, making it seem as though they were united against the world. They returned home around 10 p.m., but Allie was uncertain about maintaining composure for the next 3 days. "Dad," Allie admitted, "I'm not certain I can be civil toward her without feeling the urge to lash out." "Be mindful of your words, dear," Dave advised gently. "Eventually, it might be necessary for you to keep some form of connection with her, but she'll never be the same, and I won't have respect for her," Allie said bitterly. Dave proposed sticking to the plan for now. "When we return home, just say you're tired and go directly to bed," he suggested. Allie agreed. After a moment, she added, "Dad, I truly admire you. I don't know how you're coping, but I'm here for you." Dave smiled as they parked in the driveway. "How did I manage to have such an extraordinary daughter?" he said, his voice filled with emotion. "I'm not a slouch, Dad. You're the greatest man I know and the best father any girl could wish for," she responded. They entered the house silently, finding relief in seeing Linda already in bed. Allie held her feelings in check while Dave discovered Linda feigning sleep. Aware that she was with Rich, he was thankful they both avoided any confrontation. They rested side by side in bed, each immersed in their own somber reflections, tears trickling silently down. The following morning, Dave awakened, inhaled the aroma of coffee, and prepared for his journey. He verified if Allie was ready. Meanwhile, Linda was crafting pancakes and greeted him cheerfully. Dave reciprocated with a hug and a kiss on her neck. At an opportune moment, Allie appeared and welcomed her parents. Pretending to be casual, Dave inquired about Allie's sleep after her date with that attractive guy. Allie confirmed and asked Linda if she had already posed the question. Linda appeared puzzled, so Dave elucidated his need to return to Pittsburgh and that Allie wished to accompany him. Linda consented, mentioning that Allie would enhance the journey. They swiftly finished their meal and were soon on their way, feeling relieved to depart from home. During the ride, Allie inquired about her performance. Dave praised her efforts, emphasizing that her suggestion to tag along was wise and unnecessary acting was rendered redundant. Allie quipped about poor acting, prompting a laugh from Dave. Following a moment of quietness, Allie inquired if Dave had contemplated her presence during his confrontation with Linda. Undecided at the moment, Dave noted, but Allie expressed her desire to be there, including during the confrontation with Rich. Dave politely reminded her about her choice of words, and Allie retorted that the circumstance warranted it. Impressed by her resilience, Dave inquired about what she would say if present. Uncertain, Allie declared she wished for her mother to understand she couldn't escape her and was supporting Dave. They booked a hotel room, and in the elevator, Allie softly asked when the affair commenced. Dave admitted he wasn't sure of the precise time, but it had been years ago. Tears gathered in Allie's eyes as she hesitated to ask another question, but Dave interjected gently, ensuring her that the answer wouldn't alter their relationship. They walked to their room without words. Inside, Allie questioned if Dave wished to learn everything. Uncertain himself, Dave asked if she did. In a quivering voice, Allie disclosed she recognized her father's identity, but believed it prudent to verify, expressing doubts about enduring two unfaithful parents. Dave inquired tenderly if she was keen to learn, and Allie acknowledged her desire. Dave proposed they postpone the discovery for a couple of months, citing reasons for delay at present. Allie clung to him tearfully, her eyes brimming with tears as they commenced unpacking in tranquil silence, finding solace in each other's company. Throughout their hotel sojourn, Dave and Allie maintained communication, particularly when Dave engaged with lawyers or handled affairs. Allie passed the time by the pool either swimming or reading. On the initial day, Hannah appeared to discuss strategy. Later, they dined together. Allie and Hannah interacted amicably, and in their chamber that night, Allie confided in Dave. With some trepidation, Allie revealed Hannah harbored feelings for him, a revelation that caught Dave off guard. When Allie inquired about any past incidents between them, Dave was taken aback, swearing he had never approached infidelity with her mother. Tearful, Allie expressed regret for her skepticism, which Dave reciprocated as reasonable. Both were perplexed as to why Linda had been unfaithful, seeking answers by Friday. The following day, Hannah phoned Linda about work matters, bringing up the month-end closing and mentioning the IT guy required Linda's laptop for updates and virus scanning. Linda confirmed her presence at the office all day, agreeing to lunch with Hannah, who felt a complex mix of relief and sorrow anticipating Friday's revelations. The next morning, Allie found her father emotionally distraught by the window. Upon asking if he was well, Dave admitted his distress, inquiring if Allie was prepared for a difficult day. Allie sighed, understanding their inevitable ordeal. Dave then posed the question of whether Allie believed he could pardon Linda and continue cohabiting. After discovering the truth about her mother's lies, Allie no longer viewed her mother in the same light. They exchanged comforting embraces, with Allie expressing appreciation for being included. Dave, moved by Allie's maturity, inquired if she was all right with everything. She reassured him that she was fine as long as he was. Sharing a small smile, they prepared to begin the day. Following breakfast, they gathered their belongings, checked out, and made their way to the lawyer's office. Bill and Angela were present, praising Allie's calm demeanor during the divorce proceedings. Allie actively contributed to the discussions, providing valuable insights. Angela commended her handling of the situation and mentioned her interest in law, citing it as her favorite television genre. Angela suggested Allie consider joining their paralegal team at some point, which Allie welcomed eagerly. Watching Allie converse with the lawyers gave Dave confidence that she was capable enough to face what was to come. Following lunch, Dave and Allie completed their tasks, returning home around 3:30 p.m. The looming confrontation cast a heavy pall, exacerbated by the awkward silence between them. Dave spread out the evidence on the dining table, proposing they play cribbage to pass the time. They had barely an hour before things would be different. The garage door's sound heralded the arrival of the moment. Allie and Dave remained seated at the table, no longer feigning pleasantries. Linda entered with packages, exclaiming cheerfully, "The Chinese food is here. Let's get this party started." However, her joy quickly faded as she noticed their serious expressions, reality sinking in. "What's going on?" Linda questioned, approaching the table. Dave spoke softly but firmly. "Take a seat, Linda." She hesitated but complied, noticing the photo from her meeting with Rich. Stunned, she almost fell from the chair, tears welling up in her eyes as she whispered despairingly, "No, no, no." She looked up to see Dave and Allie looking at her with disgust. "Dave, please, don't abandon me," Linda implored tearfully. Dave paused before asking gently, "What is it that I supposedly deserve to do?" Linda pleaded again. "Don't abandon me after what we had and the family we built." Dave responded coolly but bitterly. "It was a terrible error," she cried out desperately. "For how long have you made this mistake?" Dave demanded sharply. Linda hesitated, unsure of how much he knew. "The length doesn't matter. One time was too many. Can't we just move past it?" "Are you kidding me? For how long, Linda?" Dave demanded angrily. Finally, Linda confessed that it had been since before she met Sonia. "So around 17 years, Dave said bitterly. "You cheated for 17 years and think this doesn't matter?" Linda conceded. Allie, unable to contain herself, exploded. "Mom, how could you do this? You destroyed Dad and me." Dave rose suddenly, his anger escalating. "Who are you, Linda?" Allie added furiously. Linda, distraught, looked toward Dave for help, pleading, "Dave, please ask her not to call me names." Dave's reaction was frosty. "When she says something false, I will—" The room fell silent, interrupted only by Linda's subdued sobs. Eventually, Linda inquired, "What are you going to do?" Dave responded, "Go to your room, clean yourself up, and compose yourself. Your crying is only making us more angry. We'll talk before Allie and I leave." "But we must resolve this." "Where are you going?" Linda asked anxiously. "That's none of your business, and we won't fix anything in a short amount of time." "Go upstairs," Dave instructed. Linda climbed the stairs unsteadily. As arranged, Dave sent a message to Linda's sister Shelley. "Prepared. She'll need you. Be here in 30. "Understood," Shelley replied. Linda sat on her bed, crying. After some time, she started contemplating ways to save her family, but then the harsh truth struck her. This would no longer be her bed. Nothing she had done mattered. Everything was ruined. Fresh tears welled up as she grappled with the loss. 20 minutes later, she descended once more, still upset but more collected. Dave spoke bluntly. "First, you should know you're no longer employed here, correct?" Linda's tears resumed. "Why? I excel at my work," she objected. "Do you truly need to inquire? I no longer trust you, and I wish for your absence from M's presence," he responded curtly. Linda lowered her gaze, fighting back her emotions. "What follows?" Dave handed Linda a stack of papers, explaining that they contained the documents she had been waiting for, along with her severance payment and an agreement. He advised her to open a separate bank account and carefully review these papers, suggesting she seek legal counsel. He offered to cover the initial costs, but made it clear that if she opted to contest, those fees would be her responsibility. Trembling, Linda found the situation unforgiving and asked if there was still a chance to rectify matters. Dave dismissed her entreaty, telling her Shelley would show up shortly to assist her. He advised her to depart with Shelley momentarily since he wasn't prepared to discuss matters yet. He hinted that when they were both ready, she could rejoin and stay in the guest room until long-term plans were established. Anxiety seeped into Linda's voice as she inquired if she might remain there. Growing exasperated, Dave retorted he wanted to be rid of her presence for a spell, his words piercing deeply. Linda hesitated before asking if there was no prospect for reconciliation. Dave, concluding, expressed doubt, attributing it to the 17 years she had spent with his brother and her role in sabotaging 2 marriages and fracturing 3 families. Linda, nearly bewildered, questioned whether it was truly 3. Dave clarified, detailing it wasn't merely their union and Sonia and Rich's, but also his parents, as his brother was now estranged from him. The weight of her deeds dawned on her, and Linda humbly sought God's pardon. Dave conceded that while God could grant forgiveness for her, perhaps he would too, eventually. Shelley appeared at that moment, and Dave embraced her before dialing Ollie from her room. Before departing, he cast a brief, sorrowful glance at Linda, both understanding the agony etched on each other's countenances as their lives were being irrevocably shattered. The bond of 18 years was abruptly severed, and healing, if it ever came, would take time. Dave and Ollie traveled in silence, aware of the looming plan, but uncertain about their readiness. At first, Dave contemplated cherishing the moment, but quickly recognized the anguish it would bring, particularly for his parents who were already at Sonia and Rich's house for dinner. Upon arrival, his heart pounded, yet Ollie squeezed his hand and said, "Dad will overcome this. Stay near your grandparents and present them with the picture when I give it to Sonia," he instructed her. "I have it," she assured him. They stepped inside just as dinner concluded. Ollie embraced her grandparents as Sonia welcomed Dave. "Hey everyone, we weren't anticipating your arrival, but there's ample food," said Dave, kissing Sonia's forehead in gratitude. He explained they needed to discuss something serious. Dave gave the photo of Rich and Linda to Sonia while Ollie passed it to their grandparents. The room echoed with gasps as everyone absorbed the images. Dave then handed a copy to Rich, demanding an explanation. Rich paled and sat down. Their father asked for answers. Sonia struck Rich, cursing him. Dave suggested she let Rich speak, but he stumbled over his words, unable to justify himself. He inquired about the origin of the picture, and Dave retorted sharply that it was an irrelevant question, urging Rich to confess the truth. Sonia implored for an explanation, and Dave disclosed that Rich and Linda had been involved romantically since before Sonia knew Rich. Sonia exploded, attacking Rich until she broke down in tears and fled to the living room, where her mother and Ollie consoled her. Dad confronted Rich for confirmation, to which he tearfully admitted the truth. Dad expressed his disgust, calling Rich a disgrace for betraying his own brother and wife. Rich attempted an apology, but Dave intervened, declaring him dead to him and refusing any future contact. He also dismissed Rich from work and informed their father that he no longer regarded Rich as his brother. Despite attempts at reconciliation, Dad found Dave steadfast in his position, threatening to leave if Rich remained and warning that repeated instances would force his hand. Dad sighed, accepting but expressing his reluctance to cut off ties completely. Dave agreed, but emphasized the challenges ahead for mending the situation. Upon Sonia's return, she ordered Rich to depart and gather his belongings, a command seconded by their father who made it clear Rich should not anticipate staying with them. In tears, Rich cast a disdainful gaze at his mother. While Rich was collecting his belongings, Dave barred him, snatching the office keys and ordering him to see Bill Hardwick on Monday for returning the company car and receiving a severance package. Dave additionally seized Rich's computer, which made Rich anxious. Rich objected, stating there were personal items on the computer, but Dave contended it was corporate property, promising the personal items would be returned on Monday. Faced with no other options, Rich attacked Dave and swung a punch. Dave countered, knocking Rich to the ground. The space became tumultuous as people attempted to intervene, but their father eventually managed to soothe Dave with a tight embrace. As they stood up, Rich lay semi-conscious on the floor, overwhelmed. Calming down, Dave expressed remorse to Sonia for springing this surprise and asked for a private conversation over the weekend. Sonia, uncertain, consented. Dave then apologized to his parents, and his mother responded sympathetically, saying they understood and would discuss it later. Dave consented and faced Allie, inquiring if she was prepared for departure. Ready as well, Allie stood by his side. Before they left, Dave sought approval from his father to stay behind and assist Sonia in ensuring Rich exited discreetly. Nodding, his father guaranteed help. With a sense of resignation, Dave communicated it was now just him and Allie. His father offered comfort, asserting they were still available for support. Silently, the duo departed. While Dave experienced remorse over the altercation, a deeper thought consumed his mind, which Allie recognized as well. What was inside Uncle Rich's computer bag that caused such protection? I too am curious, Dave said. Let's return home and discover it. Daddy, are you all right? Allie inquired, sensing distress. I'm fine, merely tired, Dave answered with a forced laugh. I feared you might injure Grandpa when he attempted to intervene, Allie confessed. Dave pondered over his actions, admitting they seemed reckless. Indeed, you were, Allie responded, offering a subtle smile. Both comprehended the underlying tension and shared connection. Simultaneously, Rich began packing his possessions into suitcases and rubbish bags, simmering with anger as his affair had been uncovered and Dave took his laptop bag. He ensured to include a lockbox in one of his suitcases, aware it would be vital for its contents. Without bidding farewell, he embarked on a journey north, needing to vanish, unsure when Dave would unearth all his secrets. Rich's plans were haphazard at best. He sought a small town in Wyoming or Idaho, intending to rent a place with cash and later abandon his car further west. Contemplating theft of a vehicle or utilizing public transport to evade detection crossed his mind. Without the files on his computer, he was adrift. Why did everything spiral downward so quickly? He grumbled angrily, oblivious to the fact that he'd missed two vital details in his haste. At home, Dave noticed they hadn't eaten anything, so they opted for fast food instead. Upon returning to an empty house, they experienced a mix of relief and sadness due to Linda's absence. Following dinner, Dave took Rich's laptop bag to his office and started examining its contents. Things appeared normal until he found an envelope from a significant client, Brandywater Processes, containing a check intended for Rich's cleaning services, worth $9,900. Suspicious, Dave mumbled to himself about Rich's conduct while sorting through the documents. Finding no immediate red flags, he powered up the computer and stumbled upon a concealed file. Realizing its importance, he promptly contacted his lawyer friend Bill. Bill inquired about the situation, and Dave, sounding grave, responded that it was as anticipated, but he required help urgently. Dave conveyed that the situation was grave and requested Bill's immediate presence, preferring not to leave Ollie by herself. Bill proposed bringing Angela along, but Dave declined, stating it wasn't essential, although she was welcome. Arriving 25 minutes later, Bill did so. Dave presented him with the check and the contents of a concealed file. Examining the evidence, Bill corroborated Dave's suspicions, indicating signs of bribery, extortion, and potentially tax evasion, which could escalate to federal charges. Concerned, Dave inquired if the FBI would need intervention, and Bill affirmed it was probable, hinting at potential imprisonment for Rich. Upon asking for guidance, Bill promised to contact someone at the FBI, underscoring the urgency if Rich showed instability. Bill subsequently left a message with his FBI connection and returned to Dave, suggesting they meet the agent early in the morning. Bill advised taking the bag and the check with them should Rich attempt to recover them, an idea Dave agreed was sensible. Departing, Bill quipped at Dave's frequent late-night legal assistance, with Dave humorously asking what price tag Bill had envisioned. Bill proposed a 14-year-old Balvenie single malt as the premium, and Dave consented, visibly smiling for the first time during the night. Prior to departure, Bill cautioned against immediately providing Rich the draft severance agreement to keep him unaware of the FBI involvement. Dave suggested deferring payment until expense reconciliation, which Bill agreed upon leaving. Originally intending to chat with Sonia and his parents on Saturday, a call from Bill altered those plans. They had an 10 session in Philadelphia with FBI agent Steve Majors. Ollie decided to accompany him. After all, they made decisions collectively. During the meeting, Dave and Bill displayed the evidence to Agent Majors, who then summoned Supervisor Jack Sims. Upon examining the documents, Jack scratched his jaw and inquired, "This includes a bribe spreadsheet, an uncashed check from the most recent instance, and information about an offshore account. What's the balance in that account?" Dave responded, $785 the $952. Does this money belong to your company? Agent Majors questioned. I suppose so, Dave verified. Rich was authorized to set project prices as far as the margin didn't fall below 23%. It seems he adjusted prices slightly above that threshold and accepted bribes in return. Are there 14 clients involved? You understand they too will be charged? Agent Majors added. Yes, Dave agreed. Do you know where Rich is now? Majors asked. No, Dave conceded. He was scheduled to meet Bill on Monday for a severance, but given his reaction when I took his bag and the fact that his family evicted him, he's likely hiding. Noticing Dave's worries, Agent Majors instructed, track his phone, Steve. After some time, Steve reported back. Moving west on Interstate 80 in Ohio, he's under surveillance with an intended arrest late Sunday, Majors decided. Collaborating with local authorities, they intend to detain him for 2 days without charges, enabling them to establish formal charges by Monday. On their way home, Dave, Bill, and Ally conversed casually, although Dave harbored other worries, primarily concerning the DNA test results for Ally. If proven that Rich was her father, Dave had been preparing to demand child support payments for 18 years. However, with Rich seemingly bound for prison, this plan was no longer relevant, providing Dave a sense of relief. Dropping off Dave and Ally, Bill departed, and they subsequently met Sonia and Dave's parents. During the gathering, Dave's mother wept over her youngest son's deception while his father simmered with rage. Contrarily, Sonia was anxious about their future predicament. Dave, what should I do? How will we cope? Sonia asked, her voice quivering. Dave suggested a course of action. Initially, you need a lawyer for the divorce, he stated. The proposition is, use mine, Angela Hall. If Rich winds up in prison, most of our shared assets should be yours. The FBI promises to recover the embezzled funds, which I'll need for reorganizing. The remaining funds will be placed into a trust for you and the boys. Given your business degree, I'd appreciate it if you took over Linda's position at the company. You can work from home while caring for the boys. Sonia embraced Dave in relief, and his parents also offered their encouragement. Dave smiled at Ally, who was pleased with her father's family-oriented actions. During the drive home, Dave revisited the DNA test topic again. Sweetheart, have you given more thought to the DNA test? I've considered it, Ally responded. It's a difficult choice, but I believe we should proceed. Are you comfortable with that decision? I'm not upset, and I concur, Dave assured her. I'll acquire the testing kits this week. You understand this won't affect my love for you, correct? I understand, Ally whispered softly. Dave experienced a sense of relief after discussing the DNA test with Ally, although there was still much work left to be done before the ordeal ended. In the meantime, Rich traveled westward along Interstate 80 throughout the night, stopping at a McDonald's for breakfast and a break just prior to entering Ohio. Using his iPad, he explored potential destinations and chose Sioux Falls, a remote yet sizable location where he could blend in. He booked an affordable furnished room and planned to abandon his vehicle near Fargo, then take the bus back and lay low. Feeling better? Yes, Rich exclaimed aloud. I have a plan. However, doubts began to surface as he drove, and he recognized the flaws in his strategy. Despite his fear, he felt cornered and could no longer turn back. Thoughts of surrender crossed his mind, but they filled him with even more dread, so he pressed on. He contemplated his family and the harm he had inflicted. Determined to channel his anger, he acknowledged that he was now the pursued, with no room for regret. In the end, extreme fatigue led him to halt at a Cracker Barrel parking lot for some rest. By Sunday morning, he awoke in time for breakfast, then resumed his aimless journey down the road while pondering his decisions. The burden of his choices grew more substantial, yet he attempted to disregard it. By nightfall, he stopped at a diner close to Omaha, 200 miles from Sioux Falls, where he had a hotel booking. As he neared the diner, two men inquired if he was Richard Pearson. He understood that the chase was over. The FBI had finally found him. On Monday morning, Dave provided donuts, bagels, and coffee for a company-wide meeting. Before this gathering, at 8 a.m., he held a discussion with Debbie Gleason and Tammy Fields to share their promotions. At the meeting, he introduced them as the new sales team. Despite the recent tumultuous events, the staff remained supportive. Following the announcement, Dave refocused on moving forward in both his professional and personal lives. The day following, Rich was officially indicted for numerous felonies, prompting the FBI to probe into the clients implicated in the bribery scheme. With the expectation of losing certain clients, Dave initiated a business restructuring, aiming to separate a section of production and establish a fresh distribution firm. He finalized these arrangements prior to Linda's return, understanding he would require his full vigor to confront the obstacles approaching. That Friday evening, Dave and Ollie dined at their preferred Chinese eatery, their regular routine disturbed by Linda's absence. During supper, Dave received a call from Linda expressing a desire to discuss returning home. His cool response suggested tension in their relationship. He verified he had retained legal representation and promptly ended the conversation. Noticing his stress, Ollie provided quiet support. Amidst the somber mood, their bond strengthened as they tackled the predicament together. The following morning, in the living room, Linda entered while Ollie and Dave were present. Ollie swiftly ascended upstairs, ignoring his mother's presence. Dave perceived Linda's simmering anger prior to resuming his iPad use. Linda greeted Dave but signaled for patience. Upon concluding his game, he put the iPad aside and inquired about her perusal of the documents. Linda confirmed this and broached the subject of maintaining their family unit, expressing apprehension over potential alterations. Dave inquired if she was suggesting staying married while she maintained her freedom. Linda clarified that wasn't her intent, reminiscing about their happy family life and lamenting its possible dissolution. She pledged to never repeat such actions. Unconvinced, Dave highlighted her oversight of the repercussions of her 17-year affair and now desire for marital continuity merely to sidestep conflict. He accused her of enjoying time with his brother while he remained oblivious at home. Linda refuted any romantic feelings for Rich, conceding she barely liked him and characterizing him as selfish and unskilled in intimacy. Dave, stunned, softly stated that for 17 years she had gambled everything for a man she didn't care for and never aimed to sever the relationship. However, she was still unable to articulate her reasoning. Linda wept, confessing she couldn't understand her actions either, describing it as a foolish and selfish blunder. She disclosed that their initial encounter was due to intoxication, and after that, Rich threatened to reveal their affair unless they continued. She admitted to a slight thrill from getting away with it, but couldn't fully justify her choices. Now determined, Dave told Linda their relationship was over. Upon seeing her crying, he softened slightly, giving her time to compose herself and inquiring if she wanted water. When she whispered yes, he brought a bottle out from the refrigerator. He then proposed they discuss the paperwork when she was ready at the table. Meanwhile, Ollie sat on her bed, listening to her parents argue. Despite her efforts not to cry, their pain, particularly her father's, moved her deeply. She decided to construct a life with him, leaving her mother to endure her own woes. Dave ventured to the restroom, suppressing tears he wished to conceal from Linda. He understood he needed to steel himself and separate his feelings. Upon his return, he noticed Linda trudging towards the dining room, her swollen face and reddened eyes reflecting her grief. Dave felt a conflict between joy at her distress and a wish to alleviate it, leading him to vow no more outbursts. He apologized for his outbursts and pledged to maintain composure. In a barely perceptible voice, Linda suggested he could yell, swear, or even harm her if it meant staying together, but she knew it wouldn't occur. Dave concurred and inquired about the papers. Linda quietly affirmed reading them and acknowledged their fairness, but implored him not to let go of Ollie, proposing to relinquish some funds instead. Dave categorically declined, elaborating that he and Ollie shared a unique connection, and he couldn't bear to lose her as well. In a few months, Ollie will turn 16 and gain freedom to decide for herself. Therefore, it seems irrational to oppose her wishes at this moment, stated one party. The other party countered, asserting that not doing so would risk losing Ollie and emphasizing the need to mend their relationship, which she couldn't do if Ollie was absent. A third party interjected, expressing doubt about the feasibility of their approach, adding that Ollie harbored nothing but rage for her mother, and living apart could help her come to terms with it. They cautioned that keeping Ollie under such circumstances would exacerbate problems rather than resolve them. Frustrated, Linda exclaimed she was not abandoning Ollie. Unbeknownst to the trio, Ollie had been eavesdropping. She angrily stormed in, hurling insults at her mother, airing every grievance. For over 10 minutes, Ollie vented her wrath, confronting Linda whenever she attempted to evade the argument. At a certain juncture, Ollie gripped her mother's chin, compelling her to face the anger she had instigated. Dave observed, then tenderly separated Ollie from Linda, consoling her as she settled down. Lindsay, visibly upset and fighting back tears, implored Ollie, expressing her love and need for Ollie's presence. Now more composed, Ollie unequivocally declared it wouldn't happen, threatening to make Lindsay's life difficult in case she was compelled to stay, since Dave wouldn't be there to intervene. When Lindsay inquired about being addressed as Mom, Ollie retorted callously, mentioning that everyone wanted to know, followed by a harsh remark before retreating to her room, smug and grinning. Overwhelmed by sadness, Lindsay understood she couldn't remain in the house during the divorce. Unwilling to rent a place as she intended to contest custody and the house, she temporarily resided with her sister instead. The divorce case was under Judge Stan Lawson, who had perused both petitions and had a good grasp of the proceedings. Although he often suggested counseling, the 17-year affair with a husband's brother made reconciliation improbable. The primary dispute concerned custody of their daughter. Although the judge generally sided with the mother, Ollie was nearing an age where she could make her own decisions. She opted to observe the court proceedings. The session commenced with Linda's lawyer expressing his client's desire to avoid divorce and requested 12 counseling sessions. However, the judge, anticipating this, discarded the suggestion as a waste of resources. Subsequently, the lawyer brought up custody matters, but the judge intervened, requesting a private conversation with Ollie and inviting her for lunch in his office. Despite Linda's opposition, the judge declined her proposition, ensuring Ollie's protection via court personnel. In his office, the judge greeted Ollie amiably, urging her to unwind, although she maintained her polite demeanor. Their dialogue began informally, with the judge assessing Ollie's maturity, which he found commendable. When they discussed custody, the judge clarified the mother typically obtained custody and inquired about Ollie's sentiments on this matter. Ollie asserted that the conventional approach failed to encompass all recent events, and it wasn't the ideal scenario in her opinion. She disclosed her preference to be with her father, basing her decision on their strong bond and the emotional distress her mother inflicted. When the judge pointed out the potential need of her mother, Ollie made it clear that her position was not driven by revenge, but rather what she deemed as suitable for herself and her father. She also mentioned that in 3 months she could decide where to reside, and if compelled to stay with her mother currently, she would revisit court to alter the situation. She emphasized that staying with her mother would exacerbate matters, suggesting she would find means to be with her father despite the court's verdict. The judge, intrigued by Ollie's maturity, humorously suggested law as a career option. Ollie revealed her intention to work on a paralegal team next summer. The judge commended her and promised a swift decision. Ollie expressed assurance, hoping her positive impression on the judge would remain post-ruling. They exchanged jovial banter before the judge escorted her to her father. They smiled, shaken hands, and departed. Upon finding her father, she conveyed her belief that the encounter had been successful. Soon they'd learn the outcome. As court resumed, the judge remarked, "I found my conversation with Ollie quite constructive. Both parents should take pride in her. She articulated her views calmly and professionally, and I took them into account while making my decision." Before the judge could proceed, Linda interrupted abruptly, instructing her attorney to speak. The judge, visibly irritated, pounded his gavel. "Counselor, is there a problem?" he inquired. "Apologies, Your Honor," the lawyer replied. "My client has disclosed a matter that may influence your decision." "Proceed," the judge ordered sternly, "but make it worthwhile." The attorney took a breath. Mrs. Pearson thinks there might be a chance that Mr. X could have an impact on the case. David Pearson is not genetically linked to Ollie, but this doesn't impact his claim for custody. However, the judge clarified that under Pennsylvania law, this factor is immaterial. Linda admitted she had no evidence yet. Her attorney asked for a postponement for a DNA test. Dave showed the court results confirming David Pearson as Ollie's father. The judge denied the stay request and expressed that it was beneficial for both father and daughter. Although primary custody often stays with the mother, the judge proposed granting Mr. Pearson's petition based on Ollie's preferences. Linda wept as her attorney tried to console her, and Judge Lawson suggested that it was best for everyone involved. Mr. Pearson, it's disheartening to witness this family fractured. He subsequently made the decisive decision. The divorce is approved, with a concluding judgment expected within 4-6 weeks. Court dismissed. Ollie hastened towards her father, embracing him fiercely upon exit from the courtroom. Linda, brimming with anger, moved towards them. "You won? Are you content now?" she asked Dave bitterly. He replied gently, "What's transpiring within you, Linda? No one triumphed today. We all suffered loss. Return home and let's converse later." Linda slumped onto a bench, her attorney attempting to comfort her as she murmured, "But I adore you. This is unjust." Dave caused her pain, but continued walking, clutching Ollie close. The aftermath of Rich and Linda's actions unfolded over the ensuing weeks. Rich confessed to evade trial and a lengthy prison term. He disclosed concealed assets and consented to spend 8 years in federal prison. Linda obtained employment 25 miles away and purchased a townhouse using funds from Dave, positioning herself near Ollie but distant from former friends who rejected her. Dave devoted his attention to reorganizing his business. Debbie displayed exceptional skills in sales, landing significant orders from new clients and maintaining most involved in the bribery scandal. Tammy assisted effectively, maintaining smooth operations. Dave envisioned expanding the sales team, with Debbie likely assuming leadership roles. In terms of personal life, Dave showed little inclination towards dating, despite friends and Ollie's encouragement. Church women appeared keen on his attention, yet he remained undeterred. He felt a greater longing for Linda than anticipated, but avoided dwelling on it. Only one woman occupied his thoughts concerning the future. On a Wednesday morning, several months following the judge's decision, Hannah delivered Dave's mail at work. "Hey, boss," she said. "Seems like the divorce papers have arrived." Dave verified the envelope. "Indeed, promptly received as scheduled. After 7 weeks, I am now a free man. How do you react to that?" Dave paused, his emotions complex. "There's sadness, joy, relief, and apprehension. Predominantly, I feel eager. The relationship with Linda was unique, and ending it leaves me yearning for that uniqueness once more." "I understand your sentiment," Hannah responded, half smiling, contemplating the timing. She hesitated at the door, then confessed softly, "Dave, I too desire something special. I've been hesitant to express this, but I have feelings for you. I've felt this way since the day of your interview. You don't have to respond now, but if you're inclined, ask me out when you're ready. My response will be affirmative." Dave approached her from behind and tenderly enveloped her in his arms, kissing her neck and murmuring, "Dinner tonight?" In his embrace, she turned to see his smile and twinkling eyes. "My place at 6, she suggested. "I'll prepare a meal and dress casually." Her face lit up with a broad grin. The wine bottle and lasagna vanished swiftly as dinner became insignificant. Their profound friendship transformed into something deeper, and Hannah whispered to Dave her desire to be with him. Dave smiled, listing multiple reasons for this. She teasingly drew back, mischief gleaming in her eyes, demanding all these reasons on the spot. Eager, Dave consented, prepared to guide her to the bedroom. For the following 2 weeks, Dave and Hannah spent every night together following romantic dinners at her residence. One night, Dave whispered it was time, and without pause, he carried her to the bedroom, feeling his life align perfectly. Later, Dave told Hannah he had been hiding things. He confessed his affection for her, stating he never wished their relationship to conclude. Hannah smiled, reassuring him they had each other, and if he was resolute, she wanted them to remain inseparable. Dave quipped that it might make mobility challenging, but he was prepared. Hannah playfully referred to him as a know-it-all, but made clear she understood his sentiment. Dave conceded that some might view their rapid pace as hasty, yet he showed indifference. Hannah concurred, expressing that for 7 years she'd harbored these emotions, and it felt right for her too. Half a year later, they wed at their church, commemorating with an informal barbecue in their backyard. With 200 attendees, children frolicked in the pool and were entertained, while adults danced and unwound under a tent. A modest band performed, and there was much to cheer about. Some were taken aback by their swift nuptials, particularly since Hannah was 8 years younger than Dave. The rationale was straightforward. They were certain they had found their ideal match. Furthermore, Hannah was 3 months pregnant, and at 30, they desired more offspring. As the festivities subsided, Hannah noticed Linda's arrival and went to welcome her. Two women harbored apprehension regarding their encounter, yet Linda swiftly alleviated the awkwardness by smiling and hugging Hannah. She extended her heartfelt congratulations and complimented the festive atmosphere. Hannah appreciated her sentiments, jested about Dave's barbecued pigs, and inquired after Linda's well-being. Linda acknowledged her ongoing self-work, but claimed she was improved compared to months prior, expressing sincere joy for Hannah and Dave. It wasn't long before Dave arrived, greeted Linda warmly, and expressed his pleasure at her presence, despite wishing for an earlier arrival. Linda clarified that she didn't want to intrude on their special day, but emphasized her happiness for them. Dave reciprocated her gratitude and inquired if Linda was prepared for Ollie to stay with her while they embarked on their honeymoon. Linda expressed her anticipation, hoping Ollie wouldn't dislike it too much. She mentioned that Ollie had some regrets, but assured Dave everything would be all right. Dave chuckled and queried if Linda was planning to meet his comfort companion, leaving her perplexed. She inquired about Banjo, and Dave laughed, disclosing that Banjo was with Ollie instead. He clarified that he referred to the pig they had roasted, inviting her to help herself to a plate. The tension eased as Hannah and Linda chuckled, playfully suggesting they might toss Dave into the pool. Every divorce or separation unfolds differently. Individuals respond uniquely when their lives disintegrate. Following the discovery of Linda's affair, Dave questioned if he would ever experience happiness again. Ollie grieved over her fractured family, while Hannah fretted about either spending her life single or settling for less. All three were shattered. However, they ultimately experienced more joy than before. Despite their lives crumbling apart, they wished the same healing for Linda and Sonia. Only time would reveal the truth. In the passage of time, the pastor posed the question, "Who presents this woman for marriage?" Dave responded confidently, "Her mother and myself." He subsequently placed Ollie's hand within Nathan Lawson's, a descendant of Judge Stanley Lawson. Dave stood alongside Hannah, tears of joy streaming down her face. Linda sat nearby with her fiancé. Though strained, Hannah and Linda's friendship had been rekindled, yet Dave maintained a distance from his ex-wife. His love for Hannah and their trio of children had mended previous hurts. As Dave took his seat, Hannah murmured softly, "Impressive move, Mr. Pearson. Mothers, plural." Dave smiled, swelling with pride over his 10-year-old daughter Sarah, Ollie's maid of honor. His youngest Jenna was the flower girl, and little 3-year-old Dave Jr., the ring bearer. He quietly reveled in love and pride, feeling profoundly thankful. Ollie had excelled at the top of her class from Temple University Law School, where she encountered and fell for Nate. In the course of their relationship, Dave and Judge Lawson grew very close friends, facilitating an easy merging of their families. Meanwhile, Nate specialized in criminal law, accepting a position at Bill Hardwick's office, while Ollie delved into family law, working alongside Angela Hall's team. Dave's business ventures surpassed predictions, leading him and Hannah to plan retirement once he reached 55. Despite not being a billionaire, his financial planning made their aspirations attainable. Sonia wed a wonderful man who oversaw the eastern region of a pump company that Dave's business collaborated with. With her 2 boys from Rich and a new 4-year-old daughter from this union, they now formed a family. Dave's parents had retired and were experiencing good health, delegating their Sunday family dinners to Dave and Hannah. 3 months following Ollie's wedding, Dave's father reneged on his word and brought up Rich. He disclosed to Dave that Rich would be leaving in a week and wished to spend time with the family before departing. Dave confessed he had contemplated contacting Rich since his prison release, discussing news that Rich had joined a missionary group. Dave's father verified this information, explaining Rich was headed to Tanzania as a water purification specialist following ties with a prison ministry. Dave consented to the visit, but cautioned that Sonia and her family might disapprove. His father alleviated concerns, stating they were comfortable with it since Rich had previously visited them. Dave expressed surprise as Sonia hadn't mentioned this, yet his father recalled their previous agreement to avoid any contact with Rich. Dave acknowledged this, inquired about his father's current opinion of Rich, and was told that Rich's actions felt like a personal assault and caused significant pain. If it weren't for Ollie, his father admitted he wasn't sure how he would have managed. Dave agreed they had remained resilient throughout the ordeal. Dave's father revealed that Rich had long felt like an outsider in the family, regarding Dave as an unbeatable favorite despite no favoritism shown. Pondering over this, Dave felt it was necessary to discuss and clear the air between them. Relieved by this decision, his father anticipated Dave would understand his perspective. Dave mentioned that he had recently experienced profound joy and tranquility, considering how smoothly things had progressed following the turmoil of a decade ago. He pointed out that Sonia had remarried, Rich's stolen funds were recovered, and his business flourished. Inquiring if Dave believed what happened to Rich ultimately proved beneficial, Dave acknowledged that it did in certain aspects, though Linda's departure from their marriage was a profound sorrow. Expressing deep affection for Hannah, he stated he wouldn't exchange her for anything. His father asked if Dave loved Hannah more than Linda. Dave clarified that his love for Hannah was different but equally strong, if not stronger. Dave still harbored feelings for Linda, yet they weren't as they once were. Now, his devotion to Hannah held priority. His father expressed relief, but inquired about Dave's sentiments towards Rich. Dave confessed that he harbored resentment for what Rich had done, yet strangely found gratitude in the outcome. Rich had spent over 8 years of his life as punishment, eliminating any lingering anger or thirst for vengeance from Dave. He continued to love Rich because they were brothers, but trust would never be re-established. His father appreciated Dave's viewpoint, acknowledging it wasn't simple to find good in such a scenario. Reflecting on the situation, Dave realized that everyone except perhaps Linda had found improved circumstances. Sonia was happier, his business prospered, and his union with Hannah and their 3 children brought him great happiness. Even Rich seemed to have found a better self through prison and faith. His father labeled Dave as an optimist, prompting Dave's response questioning if this was a negative trait. Dave's father voiced worry, remembering when Dave was shattered. Dave concurred yet detailed his eventual understanding that Rich's actions were like smashing cherished porcelain, but with divine assistance, he gathered the fragments to craft something more exquisite. His father inquired if Dave meant that what was damaged had now surpassed its former glory, and Dave confirmed this. His father professed pride in how Dave transformed adversity into something extraordinary. Dave expressed appreciation for the backing from his father Hannah and Ollie, admitting he couldn't have accomplished it alone. His father commended what he had created as truly exceptional and expressed joy at witnessing it. Dave, satisfied, shared that he was glad his father had lived to see it too, and believed Rich would be pleased with the outcome. He felt it was time to converse with Rich, finally letting go of the past. Confident that Dave could manage the situation capably, his father gave his approval. With a sense of readiness to face whatever lay ahead, Dave mused that though the past had molded him significantly, it was not his essence. He had unearthed a future brimming with affection, optimism, and the prospect of something superior, and for the first time in quite a while, he experienced tranquility in its purest form.